Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Journalist makes Bukayo Saka injury claim during Newcastle versus Arsenal. Arsenal produced a fine performance at Newcastle yesterday to keep the pressure on Manchester City at the top of the table. In a game where nothing but a win would do for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta saw his side produce one of their most mature performances of the season to see off the Magpies. Goals from Martin Odegaard and a known goal from Fabian Schär ensured Arsenal are now guaranteed to finish second. For the Gunners, it was a day to be proud of. Led by the experience of Jorginho in the middle, Arsenal's young guns came of age. But that's not to say the day passed without worry for Arsenal, and in particular Bukayo Saka. Goals Arsenal journalist Charles Watts was at the game and he pointed out how in the first half Saka appeared to be injured as he came over and asked the Gunners' medical staff for some pain relief. Saka, of course, battled through the game and was once again a key component in the win. Despite not being at his scintillating best on the wing, he did enough to show us why he is so highly regarded. With a bit of luck, this injury is nothing. The fact he carried on suggests things are okay, but certainly it's one for Arteta and his staff to monitor. This was an interesting spot from Watts in a game that was quite frantic at times. It's interesting that he saw Saka specifically ask for pain relief. For Saka, the next few days might simply be about rest and recovery. The last thing he wants to do is risk aggravating an injury for the final few games. Saka is so crucial for Arsenal. He'd play through the pain, as we all know, but Arsenal just need to keep on top of this one. BBC Pundit says Martin Odegaard had one Newcastle player baffled yesterday. Former Tottenham forward Jermain Defoe was full of praise for Arsenal midfielder Martin Odegaard against Newcastle yesterday. Odegaard scored a superb opening goal and then produced a midfielder masterclass to help the Gunners past the Magpies. The skipper was outstanding throughout and received widespread praise from a number of pundits and fans afterwards. One of those pundits left reveling in the performance of Odegaard was former Spurs man Defoe. Speaking on BBC, he highlighted just how clever the Norwegian was. He said, "You see Odegaard, you see his position here. It's really clever. What he is doing is that he is asking questions. He is saying, 'Botman, are you going to come with me or vacate that space in behind?' Everything Arsenal did came through him. His personality and ability on the ball, he continues to impress me." Odegaard's form has been absolutely crucial all season long for the Gunners. After being made Arsenal captain, the £30 million signing seems to have got better and better. Arsenal remain in the title race despite Manchester City holding the advantage. With just a handful of games remaining, the Gunners know they need to keep winning and hope City slip up. Despite the rapid start to the game, once it settled down, it was Odegaard and Arsenal who had full control of things. The Norwegian was almost toying with the Newcastle defense at times, and this from the 4 points out perfectly what Odegaard was doing to the Magpies defense. For Arsenal, having a player like Odegaard in such fine form is brilliant. Yes, they might end up coming up short in the title race, but Odegaard is only going to get better, and in the next few seasons, trophies are a big possibility. Newcastle's defenders just didn't know what to do with him, and that in itself is an art form. Eddie Howe admits he was impressed by £30 million Arsenal player against Newcastle yesterday. Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe has admitted he was very impressed with Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdal. Howe was speaking to the club's official website after the 2-0 defeat to the Gunners. The result kept Arsenal's title hopes alive while making Newcastle's position in the top 4 slightly more precarious. They were helped out by Manchester United losing yesterday evening, but Liverpool are in charge and putting pressure on both sides. The game could have ended very differently were it not for some brilliant performances in the Arsenal camp. Jorginho produced one of his best games in an Arsenal shirt in midfield, and was applied joined by Granit Xhaka in the middle. However, it was goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdal that Eddie Howe singled out for praise in the Arsenal ranks. He made several huge saves over the course of the game to protect his clean sheet. The match would have ended very differently had he not been in such great form. Speaking after the match about Newcastle's missed chances, Howe said, I think it's a bit of both bad luck and need for better finishing. Jacob's strike is a great strike early in the game. That's just such fine margins. Fabi's header is a big moment in the game. Ramsdale has made a great save. Fabi probably feels he should score. The save that stands out most is Ramsdale's point-blank stop to deny Fabian Schär. The Swiss international was unmarked in the box and powered his header towards the Arsenal goal. Ramsdale instinctively stuck an arm out and deflected the ball away from his goal. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta joined Eddie Howe in praising Ramsdale after the match. In the battle of the England international goalkeepers, Ramsdale came out on top of Nick Pope yesterday. Although his international teammate also had a great game, the £30 million shot-stopper was the only one to walk away with a clean sheet. Mikel Arteta blown away by £12 million Arsenal players' display versus Newcastle. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta was left blown away by Jorginho's display against Newcastle United yesterday. Jorginho kept his place in the Arsenal side for the trip to St James Park after an impressive display against Chelsea last time out. Many expected Arsenal to favour Thomas Partey over the Italian given the physical presence of the Newcastle midfield, but Jorginho didn't disappoint as he put in a man-of-the-match display and helped Arsenal to a 2-0 win, and Arteta admitted that he was amazed by the 31-year-old on Sunday afternoon. Speaking to Sky Sport, Arteta was asked about Jorginho's impact on the game from the middle of the park. He said, he was exceptional and I think he was man of the match. There were question marks because it was going to be really physical, but you want to go physicality against physicality. We'd have no chance. We had to try something different. He understood the game really well. He is a really intelligent player. He gives a lot of security to the team and he dominated the game in many moments. Jorginho was brought in for £12 million in January, and he is proving to be an astute piece of business already. He is yet to get a proper run in the side, but he is put in some assured displays in Partey's absence. The Italian has seemingly taken Partey's place in the side for now too. He played a key role in what was a huge win at Newcastle, which saw the Gunners close the gap at the top of the table to just 1 point. Of course, Arsenal are relying on Manchester City to slip up between now and the end of the campaign, but yesterday's win will fill them with confidence after a difficult run of form last month. BBC Pundit now says £35 million Arsenal man is worth his weight in gold after a Newcastle performance. Pundit Stephen Warnock was absolutely stunned by one moment from Arsenal midfielder Granit Xhaka against Newcastle. Warnock was covering one of the most exciting games of the season for BBC 5 Live at St James Park. Arsenal could have easily gone behind in the opening minutes if Jacob Murphy's strike had hit the post at a slightly different angle. Instead, Martin Odegaard's long-range effort was the difference in the first half. His shot nutmegged Steve Botman and Nick Pope couldn't get across in time to keep it out. Newcastle and Arsenal both hit the woodwork early in the second half through Alexander Isak and Gabriel Martinelli, respectively. Joe Willock will think he should have equalized after some brilliant play from Isak. However, Granit Xhaka produced a goal-saving block for Arsenal and Warnock was seriously impressed. The Swiss international was at the center of most of the action at James Park. His stock among the Gunners fan base continues to rise with every game he plays. After Xhaka pulled off his incredible block, Warnock said, "An incredible challenge from Granit Xhaka. He had to make it, had to time it right, otherwise he gives a penalty away that is worth its weight in gold." The £35 million Swiss international has arguably had his best season in an Arsenal shirt. Marcus Schwarze has suggested that he's been really underestimated this season, and he might not get the recognition he deserves away from the Emirates. Despite no longer being captain, Xhaka is definitely still a leader in the squad. He was quickly managing the game for the Gunners in the first half, slowing down play when it suited Arsenal. He's been earmarked by Leandro Trossard as a potential future manager, although he may need to calm down slightly before switching the pitch for the dugout. Warnock will be joined by the Arsenal fan base in thanking Xhaka for his incredible tackle in the box. He denied Joe Willock a goal against his old side and helped earn Arsenal a valuable 3 points. Thanks to the 30-year-old, the title race carries on for a little longer. Arsenal scouted a championship teenager who Newcastle have sent Ashworth to watch. Arsenal and Tottenham have joined the race to sign Blackburn Rovers starlet Adam Wharton ahead of potential transfer scramble this summer. 18-year-old Wharton has been exceptional for Rovers this term as they have pushed for a playoff spot, and despite it looking unlikely, they will now make the top 6. Wharton's performances have caught the eye. It was previously reported that Newcastle are keen on Wharton. However, the Daily Mail now claims that both Arsenal and Tottenham have been sending scouts to watch the youngster as well. It's claimed a host of Premier League clubs have been scouting Wharton as well, and within the scouting network, he is the name everyone is talking about in the Championship. Wharton has made more than 20 appearances for Blackburn this term. The Mail claims Rovers want to keep him at Ewood Park for his development. However, with so much interest, it could be hard to keep him. Lauded by academy coach Ryan Kidd for his technical qualities, Wharton is seen as one of the best talents in the second tier. For Arsenal and Tottenham, signing Wharton won't be with a view to getting him into the first starting 11 right away, but in terms of their own future, he could be a big signing. Wharton has looked more than comfortable in first-team football with Blackburn. Sure, they have a point in that more exposure will do him good, and if they do sell, they will be hoping to get him back on loan at least. Arsenal, though, will hope their record of producing young talent can tempt Wharton. Ian Wright says he is a huge fan of 24-year-old Arsenal target. Arsenal legend Ian Wright and reported Gunners target Declan Rice shared some love for each other after West Ham's win last night. The Hammers picked up a well-deserved 1-0 victory over Manchester United. They are all but safe from relegation now, and they can turn their focus to their European semi-final. Arsenal fans like Wright, who watched that game last night, would have been really impressed with Rice's performance. He was sensational yesterday, and the Gunners legend loved his display. Arsenal have been heavily linked with a move to sign Declan Rice this summer. The Gunners need reinforcement in the middle of the park, and Mikel Arteta would ideally like 2 new signings in central midfield to bolster his side. Rice has been reported to be Arteta's priority transfer target this summer, and the 24-year-old Englishman showed why he is a wanted man against Manchester United last night. After the game, when Rice put on the headset to have a chat with Wright, Alan Shearer and Premier League Productions host Steve Bauer on Matchday Live, the Arsenal legend shouted, "Declan, Jollof Rice." The West Ham star loved it and replied, "Righty, legend." Rice gave a fantastic interview about the game, the difficult season West Ham have had, and the European semi-final coming up this week. In the end, before saying goodbye, Wright shouted, "I love you, Declan." Rice replied, "I love you too, Righty. See you later, mate. Bye-bye." Wright turned to Shearer and Bauer and said, "I love him so much." Arsenal have to sign Declan Rice this summer. The Gunners' midfield was brilliant yesterday against Newcastle, with Jorginho, Granit Xhaka and Martin Odegaard bossing large parts of the game. However, both Jorginho and Xhaka are over 30 years of age now, and it would be wise on Arsenal's part to bring in their successors this summer. Rice would probably be an upgrade on both of them, and Arsenal should do everything they possibly can to get him. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.